Hello, welcome to the presentation of Family Members. It's the second feature film by Mateo Bendesky. He has also directed a number of short films. My name is Violeta Bava. I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm very glad I'm joining the festival as guest curator. And I'm especially happy and honored to introduce this film with having the director here, Mateo Bendesky, to talk about it. A film that was a premiere in Berlinale Panorama last year. We could say it's a pre-COVID film, even though now COVID is also affecting the premiere in New Zealand, because now we are like in your premiere, Mateo. It's a film that has had a very happy life, I would say. It's a film that's been around the world with a lot of recognition and great reception. So we are so glad to have this film at the program. And I would like to ask you, Mateo, since I mentioned you made a number of short films, how much this film is connected in terms of topics. I could relate somehow to your previous work, to those short films. There are topics there that I'm sure you can tell us more about.
Hi, Violeta. Thank you for your beautiful words. I'm also very happy to be here. I'm very excited to have the film have its premiere at New Zealand International Film Festival. Yes, regarding the question, this film, I thought of Family Members as the third installment of a kind of trilogy that started with my first short film that is called The Magnetic Nature, or El Ser Magnético in Spanish, and continued with another short film called Together Alone, or Nosotros Solos. And it's a trilogy about siblings. The three films treat about couples of siblings. The first one is about two 55, 60-year-old brothers who live in the same house. The second one, Together Alone, is about a 17-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. And this is the, as I said before, the third installment of that kind of trilogy about siblings. And I was very much interested in exploring how these family dynamics work in different pairs of siblings, in different environments as well, because the three films are very different between each other. But there's definitely the subject of family relations is present in the three films, and is particularly the subject of sibling relations, and how those dynamics work in different kinds of families. So in that sense, there's absolutely a thematic connection between the three films.
And now that you mentioned the mourning and the teenagers, and but specifically these two siblings at the beginning of the film, they seem to be very much apart. So somehow the film, it's a process, and I would like to know more about how's that process for you. How did you conceive it, and how well it's the construction also in that movement of from them. There's a whole movement of the film, of from one situation to another.
Yes, absolutely. When the film starts, you can perceive that there's something that is kind of broken between the two of them. When I started thinking about the film, one of the things that I was most interested in was about not like having this sibling relationship, as I was saying before, allowed me to not have to explain explicitly what was going on between them. I was interested in exploring how to transmit what had happened between them without the need for them to say it out loud, because I had this idea that they both know what happened. So uh, that conflict, that broken relationship could be transmitted in other ways. So throughout the film, as you were saying, uh, they try to they get together. They slowly start understanding more of what happened to each other and what happened in their own history, and they slowly rebuild that connection they had lost. So for me, it was very interesting. It was something that we worked very much on with the actors. Outside from what I had written in the script, there was a lot of work on the actors' side, because we had to. It wasn't only a matter of what they said, or what was said on the script, but also how that relationship developed almost in real life, almost in front of the camera. Uh, so it was a challenge. I wasn't sure of how that was going to work out, and luckily it worked out very well. I mean, the both Tomas and Laila, the actors who play Lucas and Gilda, they got along very well with each other, and I think that helped very much build in that connection in real life, and then rebuild it in fiction. Uh, so it was a very nice process.
Actually, now that you mentioned the actors, and this was one of my questions because they are so particular. I'm talking also about their body language, their physicality, and so similar. So, firstly, how did you find them? And then, how was the process? Not only what you mentioned about them in the film, in the narration, but also to be able to find this tone. This they seem to talk in a certain cadency, in a certain way that it's almost I don't know. Sometimes absurd. Sometimes they are like robots, but it's at the same time so precise for the scene.
Well, first, how I found them. It was interesting because I had seen them both in different places. I mean, I had seen Tomas in a short film from 2011 that a friend of mine directed called Soy tan feliz by Vladimir Duran, and I had really liked him. He was a kid when I saw him there. He was like 11 years old, but I knew I was interested in him, and I've known Laila for a long time. She's an old friend of mine, but although I had this idea that I liked them, we did a very long cast process. We tried many different actors and actresses, and we couldn't find these. Like, I don't know why we didn't go first to them, but we did this casting and we couldn't find the exact thing I was looking for. So at some point we said, okay, let's cast them. Let's cast Tomas and Laila, and we casted them separately, and they did amazingly well. Their casting was amazing. But here is where I think the magic of cinema appears, because I hadn't realized until we started shooting, but until everything was set up, that they looked so much like real brother and sister. So they have like this. I think it was almost miraculous that they look so much alike, and they have these very particular faces. We did a lot of work. We had a lot of rehearsals before, because I had this very specific idea for the tone I wanted for the film. And they both came from very different acting traditions. I mean, Tomás came from a much more interpretative, a much more character developing type of acting. He comes from a very traditional theater school, and Leila came from the exact opposite. She was, I think she had almost never worked with a script. She's great at improvising, and I didn't want any of both of those things. So we rehearsed a lot. I had this idea, and sometimes it was hard, especially for Tomás, who at first thought this tone was very low key for him, and he was worried that he was not acting. I remember telling him, "Don't worry, you're doing amazingly well." So there was these big these rehearsals and these long process of rehearsals, but also we had this very long body preparation process that Tomás went through. He went through 3 or 4 months of a very intense training with a bodybuilder, actually. And I think that through that process, not so much through the body preparation process, but more through the rehearsal process, they became friends, and we were able to both find this tone I was interested in working with for the picture, but also in developing the real life relationship that I was mentioning before, this connection between them that really helped the film.
Can we talk about the esoteric aspect of the film? There's a tarot, there's stones, and there's like seem to be like a magic connections or realism that it's alterated somehow. Tell us about this.
Well, I love all those things. First of all, I I I think I was very interested in working with those things. My previous short films also have a lot of those elements. I'm very curious about all these new spirituality things that have grown so much in the last decades. And I feel that all the characters in the film are trying to hold on to something. It's different for each one. I mean, for Lucas, it's fitness and this bodybuilding and contact fighting, etc. For Guido, it's these weird theories about the universe being a simulation, and for Laila, it's for Shilda, is these esoteric practices like these strange I Ching and the tarot cards and the stones. These ideas she has that she's almost cursed. She has like this bad energy, and I feel that in the end, all of the characters are trying to hold on to something as a way of dealing with a world that presents itself as very fragile for them. So they each find a different way to get to build something that for them gives meaning to the world surrounding them. And that is how I picture all the esoteric elements that Gilda works so hard to find meaning in. And also, it's very funny. I thought they were all kind of hilarious. So that's another thing that I really like about them.
Yes, it is. Sorry. Okay, one more question then that will help to wrap up. So I would like to ask you now about the hand, this element, and the meanings of this hand for you in the film, apart from being this part of the body that they have to get rid of.
Well, I think I think there are, or I feel there are many layers regarding the hand. First of all, there was a narrative layer for me because it allowed me to give some kind of insight regarding how the mother had died. So it's explanatory of why she cannot be cremated, and that is because I don't know how it works in New Zealand, but in Argentina, a suicide is ruled a dubious death. So you cannot cremate a body from someone who killed themselves. So it helped me tell that without actually saying it, because I feel that the characters cannot quite say it at that moment of like it's still very recent. Then there's also a more poetic layer of this idea. I like the idea of them having to let go of their mother's hand. It's almost like a literal version of a metaphorical meaning. And third, as I said before, with the esoterical part of the film, I thought it's visually and humoristically interesting in a way. It's very dark humor, but I feel that they're expected they're in this very bleak environment, and everything seems kind of heavy, and they're expecting to go and have the ceremony and throw the ashes into the sea, and suddenly they see the hand. And first it's surprising, but also it tells so much about this character who's always absent from the film. It gives us a hint that not only she killed herself, but why was she missing a hand? She had been in this accident that they speak about later in the film, and it could explain the depression that led her to her reaching this pastor afterwards and then killing herself. So I thought it was a very significant object, and that could have many different layers, as I said before.
Yes, it worked very well in the film, as well as the rest of the elements, and it's somehow this member of the body and members of the family that they have to try to put together, and the film does it in a magnificent way. So we are very happy we could have the chance to talk to you, Mateo. Thank you very much for joining us, for introducing the film to the audience in New Zealand, and we hope in the future we will be able to be together in New Zealand.
Thank you very much for your great questions. I'm very happy to be here, and I too hope that in the future I can join you in person and join the audience in person in New Zealand. Once again, thank you very much.